welcome to Your Town. I am Jessica Rine, and before we get started, I wanted to talk to folks who have been fans of Your Town for quite some time here at West Liberty. Steve Major passed away this fall, and we certainly miss him. He was a dear friend of mine and a good partner for the United Way and a great partner for West Liberty. We certainly miss him and love him, and I am honored to be able to carry on his legacy to promote nonprofits in the Upper Ohio Valley. My guest today is Lynn Dick with WATCH. It's a division of Russell Nesbitt. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start out and talk a little bit about how WATCH makes an impact on adults with disabilities.
Oh, I love WATCH, so I could talk about it all the time. WATCH was started actually in 1967, and it was meant for a place because there wasn't really anywhere to go for vocational skills and and needed services. So we have so many different things that we want to get started. It's a wonderful place. We're teaching them how to do the skills that they need to go out into the community and do whatever they want to do out there. But we've done it, but we never really had a program per se. Now, excitingly, we're going to do a program with pre-vocational. So we're viewing it, we're going to do it on more person-centered, so the individual and what their needs are, but we're going to work with them on going out into the community, what they need to know to go out into the community, how they need to dress, the time cards, and anything that we need to do in our job, is what they need to learn. So they know, and they know what they're facing when they go out into the community. Right now we have things like that they do now at WATCH. The greenhouse is like
beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Such a great program.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Thank you. And a little plug. We open next week on Wednesday, which is the 27th. 27th. Yeah, it's 27th. Okay. So we open next week, which we're excited about. And we have individuals that go out there and work. They like helping the customers, greeting the customers and helping them select the flowers and plants and take it to their car. So that's one of the opportunities that we have. It's just one of the many that we have.
And the proceeds from that go back to the program, go back to the
Absolutely, yes. Everything goes back into the program, so it funds the program and we can do more great things.
Yeah, well, I've had the opportunity to meet some of your clients, and they certainly love you, but you love them back.
So yeah.
Everybody that works for WATCH is hands-on, really relationship-oriented with all of their clients, and I was fortunate to be able to come to some of the prom, homecoming, Christmas party things that you do for the clients. That is so special for them and something that they really look forward to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and Santa Claus.
Yes.
I mean, we haven't had to have Santa Claus in since COVID.
Oh.
So, I mean, that's a really fun time. And the Easter Bunny. And, they love all that stuff. And we will still do all of those things. But we want to do it more so it's centered, based on them and what they can do and because they can do a lot. Right. We have this reputation that at WATCH all we do are screws and nozzles and,
which is still very nice. It's program.
Absolutely wonderful. And but we want to be known for more.
Right.
And we have our shredding program that some people don't know about, but that's a great opportunity. We could actually go in there and teach them how to shred. Maybe they want to move on and go into our supportive employment program, which will help them go to someplace to shred. Maybe they want to go to a different shredding company somewhere in the area. Right. This is going to help them with the skills that they need.
Right, and the skill sets that you're giving through the shredding program also comes back to the agency and helps support the agency as well. So you're giving folks the opportunity to earn a paycheck and find that value that we all feel in our careers.
Yes.
And talk about some of the other different programs that are out in the community. I know some of them work at the federal building, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yes. They clean the federal building. They clean DHHR. We have the I-70 West rest area, but it's been closed, so we're still up there cutting grass and taking care of everything a couple days a week. We're hoping that comes back full time, and it's 24/7.
Right.
But we do lawn care, and that's through Russell Nesbitt. But that's one of our opportunities, that we can move people along. Like maybe they want to go there, you know, and then they can go somewhere else that doesn't, like, you know, cut grass or whatever. I mean, it's just the skills that they will learn just going to us, coming to us, whether it be, you know, through the Russell Nesbitt, but we basically at Watch want to be the hub of pre-vocational. So we'll have like so many people going in and coming out, like even people that are that are graduating high school, you know, that have been in the program, but where do they go?
Right.
You know, so if they come to us, then we can help them with those skills that they need and to go out into the community and, you know, find a job and work with them and based on their needs and you know, their levels of understanding things.
Right, and Watch and Russell Nesbitt are serving an underserved already population, unfortunately,
Yes.
and being able to fill that void is a great spot for you guys to be in, and also how much you help the families of folks that have gone through your programs is such a vital need for families, and it has to be reassuring for them to know that they have the opportunity now to go out and make a full career for themselves.
Yes, I mean, and we're basically, you know, it was started for people with disabilities, a place to go. You know, it's an environment people feel safe. The families feel safe having their individuals there, you know, sons, daughters, and so it's a great place. But we want to do more. Like we do the pre-vocational skills now. That's how you learn. That's how you teach them how to do, you know, do things. And anyone. But we want to make it more of a program too, so we can have more individuals coming in and kind of going through us in all of our programs. So
that's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Are you working with the high schools locally to identify students that could be a good fit for that program?
We, at one time, before COVID, unfortunately, we had worked with Ohio County Schools, and we had individuals from Wheeling Park come.
Oh, great.
And they would work on some of the things that we had. And we want to get back into that. So that's one of our, you know, hopefully it's going to be like a place that's going to be rotating. People will be in and out, you know, and we're helping them go into the community. We're teaching them skills that they need, right. And that's our goal.
So it's not a typical vocational program where it would be 12 months, 18 months. Would this program be on that level, or would it be more of a based on learning ability, how long it took to graduate the program?
Basically, we're going to work with them, and they go into supportive employment. They'll be with us for a little bit, and if they want to, like whatever job they want to do, like, you know, say they want to work at Jebbia's, you know, supportive employment, they would be with our person in supportive employment, our employee, and she would help them. She would be there with them all the way. Maybe it's something that they like, or maybe they don't like it. So then, you know, you find another option. So you're working with them to get them, you know, out into the community, into a job, or maybe it's just not right for them and they just want to stay with us, which is wonderful too, because, you know, we have a lot of opportunities as well.
Right. So how about if somebody wanted to get interested in this, in the program, in the vocational program, from a standpoint where they have a child or someone that they know that would like to be involved, what would you recommend they reach out to you? How would they get connected with the right sources?
Well, they can call myself at Watch, or they can call Russell Nesbitt, and they'll get directed in the right place where they need to go. But I more than welcome them to call me.
Great.
Yeah, and I can direct them.
Okay, and do you have a website that there's some more information about this, or since it's new, or still working through that?
We actually are getting a new website, so it's not up and running yet, but this will all be on there.
Great, it is so exciting when you get a new website.
I know.
I really do. We just had one too, not too long ago, and I love the whole process.
Oh, it's exciting, very exciting, yeah.
Good. Well, I'm excited for this opportunity for folks to get more involved and to learn that there is a lot out there for people with disabilities. Again, an underserved population, unfortunately, that Russell Nesbitt and Watch do an excellent job. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else for the folks at home?
No.
Keep an eye out for special events so they know how to support you guys.
Yes, I mean, we have our steak fry coming up, and we'll definitely be advertising that. And, you know, we have our greenhouse coming. And, you know, we that's something I'll tell you that the individuals are very excited to work out in the greenhouse. And so I have one all the time that says, when can I go out? And I'm like, well, it's coming. So yeah, they really enjoy it, and we enjoy having the community come and see what we do.
Right. So if you're looking for any type of the plants that they provide at the WATCH Greenhouse, please stop by. It's supporting local, and it's supporting folks in this area who could use your support, and a wonderful program. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Up next, we will have Sharon Kesselring with the American Red Cross.
My name is Juliana Haug, and I am a student in the Masters of Arts in Art Therapy and Counseling. Art therapy is a versatile degree. It combines art, psychology, and helping people. We work with people from all ages, abilities, and disabilities in different populations with a variety of materials that suits them. Check out West Liberty University's Art Therapy and Counseling graduate degree for a career that actually feeds your passion. Find out more at westliberty.edu/MAATC.
Welcome back to Your Town. I'm here with Sharon Kesselring from American Red Cross, who is one of the few nonprofit directors in the area I was able to see during the pandemic because the blood drives were so important at that time. You always gave me the gold star treatment when I came to give blood, Maddie and I, at the office of the United Way. But it's good to see you again.
It is good to be here. It's good to see you. It's good to see you in this position, although we do miss Steve, and so I'm honored to be still part of this program. Thank you very much for inviting us on.
Of course, we do miss Steve. We love him so much. So honored to be a part of this program and to carry it on in his legacy. And I know that you had been a guest of the show prior to this, talking about all the good things that American Cross does. So let us know what's going on these days.
Oh, wow. What isn't going on with us? Obviously, the pandemic had an impact on all nonprofits, all businesses everywhere, but especially in the nonprofit world. There were a lot of services that had to be delayed or slowed down or even stopped totally. At American Red Cross, because of the nature of our business, there were very few things we couldn't stop, that we couldn't back away from. And as a result, we learned very quickly and adapted very quickly to a new way of doing things that we carry forth now to this day in order to make sure that everything is being done. Our mission is to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of our volunteers and the generosity of our donors, and we do that in different lines of service. So, first off, blood services, since you brought that up.
Yes.
And you were a first-time blood donor for us during the pandemic, and we were so proud of you, and set an example for so many people in this area.
Well, I knew that the numbers were really, really high, but if I'm being honest, there was the level of, I didn't know if I had COVID before, and you were testing the antibodies in the blood. But what a great way for me to be introduced. Again, I gave blood maybe in high school a long time ago, and then I had a lot of babies, right, and lots of surgeries, and wasn't able to give at that point. But I was able to give, and then the app itself, I'm stealing your thunder probably for a minute here, but the app that you have is where I signed up and went to give blood, and I absolutely loved when I got an email when they told me that my blood was on its way to help somebody, and it was in Virginia at the time. But I felt that it made the whole thing so much more realistic and so much more valuable for that. And I get my reminders all the time now, and I've continued to be a donor since.
You are a great spokesperson for our blood donor app. That is an amazing rendition of why we encourage people to download that app, and you can see what blood drives are in your area close to you for the next 2 weeks and schedule accordingly. You can schedule your appointment right on there. You'll be notified if something were to happen that we would need to either cancel that drive very suddenly or perhaps move your appointment time. And it's a great way to communicate with our blood donors directly. But you're right, that little bit of oomph at the end when you're told where your blood is heading to, that makes it all worthwhile. You know how much your one blood donation has impacted the world, really, because one unit of blood can impact 3 different lives. We have red cells, we have plasma, we have platelets that we can derive from that one blood donation.
Right.
And as a result, you could be helping 3 different people, saving their lives, making sure that they're able to give hugs to their kids and kisses to their kids, and
Right.
and just carrying on with the impact that they're having in the world. So there's no substitute for human blood, and that's what's important. People think, well, if I don't do it, somebody else will. Not necessarily.
Right.
We've gotten through the crisis that we announced at the beginning of this year, and now we need to carry forth because we're getting into summertime, and we always start to see a slowdown in donations coming in. We need to make sure that we carry on, that people are understanding we still need their blood donation. Please don't give up just because you have different kind of summertime activities, you're going on vacation, that type of thing. Make sure you still schedule accordingly. We still need you. If during the summertime we don't collect at high schools or colleges,
Right.
and we get 10 to 15% of our nation's blood supply from them. So we need to make sure that we are still collecting as much blood as before. There's never really a slowdown in it. And in fact, elective surgeries can pick up quite a bit in the summertime because people have the time off to recuperate from them. So we need to make sure it's still going on. So give blood, give blood,
download
give blood.
the app. It's so easy. The first one was a little bit more legwork for me to get into the system, and then at that point it was very easy. I had the reminders, especially when there were local places. And I
Right.
think people hear the big ones, like Media Blood Donor Day, and they know there's a big blood drive, but there's almost always a blood drive
Right.
within your area, within a driving distance. Is it every week, every other week? I mean, for me, I feel like if I wanted to do it next
every
week,
week.
I could.
Every week. Every week there's at least one, if not 2 or 3 different opportunities in the area for you to give blood. We try to make it as easy as possible.
That app.
Yep.
Click the date, click the location, click your time, good to go.
And if you're not a smartphone user, we understand some people aren't. They can still call 1-800-RED Cross or go online at redcrossblood.org and actually schedule their blood donor appointment right then and there. It also answers some questions, some very basic questions. If you've never given blood before, whether or not you might be eligible or not eligible to give. Don't assume you're not eligible, because quite often we can still take you as a blood donor. So just give us a call, though, if you aren't sure, 1-800-RED Cross, and click on blood, and then you'll get your question answered and be able to come in and give the gift of life. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a rewarding thing. And again, knowing in the nonprofit world, we know that there's a face behind every donation, every dollar donated, every ounce of blood donated. We know that there's a face. But I think Red Cross does a great job at giving them that, that face and that connection by letting them know that their blood's being used. So.
And there's also the sickle cell part of it too, because we now have quite a focus on the need for blood types that have the sickle cell trait, not necessarily have sickle cell disease, but sickle cell trait in their blood that will allow them to be a very special donor to someone who does suffer with sickle cell. And when I say suffer, I don't mean that lightly. I was never so fully aware of what people go through that suffer with sickle cell as I have been here of late with all the education I've been receiving about it. It is an extremely painful disease, and quite often people die of an early age because of not just what occurs with sickle cell, but also the fact that sometimes it's hard to get the right type of blood for the people that need it. So that's why it's so very, very important, especially if you feel you might be a potential sickle cell donor, that you be able to sign up and give blood. Make that appointment. We need to see more people of African American or Black descent, that would be able then to perhaps have that special blood available then for those that suffer with sickle cell, because a lot of people do.
So if somebody had someone in their family that suffered from it, but they didn't think they had it, they would be a good candidate to get tested to see if they had that type of blood that could be donated to help.
Right, and right now we're able to test anyone that self-identifies that potentially might have that trait in their blood. So we're able to do the special testing that is involved to make sure that they might, if they have that blood, that we're getting that then to the right individual then. So yeah, it really is important. So.
All right, well, she gave you the information and the phone number and the website and the app, so definitely check that out and see how you can help. And then American Red Cross is way more than just blood donation.
It certainly is, and it's also, let's go into disaster response next, emergency response with our disasters, and obviously the the most prevalent disaster we have in this area are home fires. And oh gosh, I don't think anybody understands what somebody has gone through unless they themselves have gone through a home fire, that you've lost everything that you owned. It's gone. You can't reach for that picture anymore. You can't reach for that recipe anymore. It's all gone. And as a result, you need help in recovering. And that's what American Red Cross does. Our volunteers are on call 24/7. Disasters never take a holiday. And as a result, then our volunteers are on call even during holidays. And so what happens is we get notified of the fire. We get a message out to those that are on call. One of our volunteers picks up that need and says, I'll go, and off they go. We're able to do things in person now, where before, during COVID, we were in virtual land. We are now back in person again. The disaster action team member, is what we like to call them, can help that family identify what their immediate emergency needs are and give them the ability to purchase shelter, food, clothing, things like that. Excuse me. And what they'll do then is drop that money either through a client assistance card, or they will do a direct deposit into their checking account, or there's a couple of other methods that we can use too. So we're able to get them started. We can also connect them with our disaster health services personnel to help replace medications they may have lost. We may also be able to provide them with spiritual care and disaster mental health. I'm going to sneeze, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Oh.
I can pick up.
Thank
and
you.
If you sneeze, you can. One of the things that I think that hit home with me at the very beginning when you're talking about disaster relief, there are other places that I know that American Red Cross collaborates with who have things maybe like furniture. So if those donations are coming in financially, that maybe they don't have to spend those on the couch instead, but they could get some donated furniture in the area. And I'm going to take a minute to plug 211 through the United Way. American Red Cross is that emergency service right off the get-go, day one, that you reach out to help. If you have anybody that you know who has suffered through a home fire, who is in need of things like the big furniture items or big ticket items like that, please call 211. They will be able to direct you to social services that are your need, whatever your need is, but also to folks in the area and organizations in the area that collaborate with Red Cross to make sure that people who have gone through home fires can come out on the other end of it as seamless as possible, because they've suffered so much trauma from the loss.
And it's exactly, thank you for that. Thank you for that save. But yes, we do work with 211. We do work with other collaborative agencies, the Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, those types of other United Way agencies, to make sure that people have all their needs met. So that as a result, then people start to recover. They own their own recovery. We help them get there. We're the only all-around agency that can really make that happen for them.
Got it. And I think that and it's right off the bat, right, is that if you hear about a disaster, or how does that response happen? Does someone have to pick up the phone, call American Red Cross? Is it a relationship with the local fire departments that make it available for you to have those conversations? I know there's no bat signal, so what is it exactly that gets you?
Right, there's no bat signal. So usually it's the person that's in charge of the fire, the incident commander from the fire department, that places the call, or 911 places the call to us, because they have all the basic information. And so from there, then it goes to our central dispatcher, who then dispatches out our disaster action team members. We need these volunteers. We don't have enough right now. Please, I need people to understand to sign up at redcross.org and volunteer. About 6 hours of training, all online at your convenience, and then we're going to ask you to take call about 1 week a month, or 1 week every 6 weeks. And it works to your benefit then to be able to schedule things the way you want to. So we can be very flexible with you. Our volunteers are just the most wonderful people in the world. This has been National Volunteer Week as we're taping this, and as a result then we've been able to celebrate are the volunteerism at Red Cross, and gosh, we just so love these people. They are fantastic, and like I say, disasters never take a holiday, so you never know when you're going to see them out there doing their fine work.
What is a prerequisite if somebody is listening and is interested in being a volunteer but thinks they might not have what it takes? What exactly does it take to be a Red Cross volunteer? What kind of prerequisites do they need, or is it just someone who has that good heart that wants to help?
Well, and you just said the word. They need to have a heart. They want to help. And that's the real basic prerequisite. But here's the thing. We're going to do a background check on you. That's at our cost. And once you pass through that, after that, we're going to even allow you to tag along on a couple of calls until you really get well trained, take that 6 hours of online training, and then start being engaged with other volunteers to understand how it is that we do our business. And as long as you've got a heart, though, that's all it takes.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
And you can be the saving grace for somebody who doesn't know at all where to turn, and you're there right away.
Absolutely, right away. And you never know. It doesn't have to be a real poor person. It doesn't have to be a middle income person. It doesn't have to be a rich person. When they have a disaster, they're all the same level. They've had a disaster. They're suffering, and that's what our volunteers do, is help to prevent and alleviate that human suffering.
Right, trauma knows no demographic.
Absolutely.
And no one is immune to that. But there are ways that you can prevent fires in your home. And another plug for you guys, I was talking about the blood donation, but when I first started with the United Way and hearing about American Red Cross and smoke detectors, I had one in my home, and I thought that checked the box. I have one in my home. I've done the service for my family. And then I found out the details on how you should have one on every floor and outside of each bedroom and all of that. So you know better than I do the guidance for folks at home. If you could let them know what they do, because even though that beeping drives me insane until I can get another battery in those smoke detectors, and it goes like this for a couple of months and I have to replace them all, I know that I'm doing a service for my family.
Well, and fortunately, the type of smoke alarms that we install are 10-year lithium-ion battery smoke alarms, so you never change them. You just simply dispose of your smoke alarms, and your smoke alarms should never be more than 10 years old as a result. So, and when we do smoke alarms, we don't just install them. We provide this preventative education also, so that you're totally prepared in the event. We're going to talk about evacuation rooms that you should have, or evacuation routes, so that you have 2 ways out of every room in your house. That type of activity. So as a result, then, you're much better prepared if a fire does break out. And we're going to give you tips about safe cooking and things like that as part of the education. It all works around very well.
Yeah, and I think from that standpoint too, that was the first time for me to have a conversation with my kids, talk to them a little bit about the front yard is our place to meet. We have several doors in our home, and all of them can lead us to the front yard. That way everybody is out of the house and in that location. So very important information. And am I right that there should be one? Is it outside of every bedroom?
Right.
Is that the
Yes,
rule?
yes.
I remembered.
Yeah. And oh gosh darn, you're good. You want to come volunteer at Red Cross? You've got it down pat.
Or if I had someone watch my kids for me to leave them on a short notice like that, absolutely. I think when we're, as nonprofit directors, when we're recruiting other folks to volunteer, it's important for us to volunteer as well.
Yeah, you do a great job. You do a great job.
So do you.
Thank you.
So what else do we
I'll
have
pass
going
that
on?
along to the volunteers
Yeah.
because they are the heart and soul of the Red Cross.
I agree
And in fact, 90% of our workforce is volunteers. And so you can volunteer as a disaster worker, you can volunteer at blood drives, you can volunteer as a blood donor, you can volunteer also in service to armed forces. That's where we were born. Red Cross was born on the battlefield. Clara Barton tended to the sick that were on the battlefield, the injured, regardless of the color of their uniform. And so she started that Red Cross movement way back then. And as a result, we are now today that we are still very basic in service to armed forces. We're the emergency communication system between those that are serving anywhere in the world and their family members back home. We are also the conduit between those that might be deployed, and their family members back home that might find themselves in a financial crunch and need to be able to have some assistance in financial aid. We also work very closely with the veteran community, and especially here in this part of American Red Cross from a national perspective, we are very blessed to have what we call veteran service officers, which are very, very highly trained volunteers to work with veterans to make sure that if they are eligible for benefits because of their service, that eligibility can change every year even, that the veterans know what's available to them, and we can even help them then with their applications. And if for some reason it doesn't go well the first time they apply, we can advocate for them. So we have access to all that type of record keeping, et cetera. And we're not the VA, but we work very closely with the VA so that we can make sure that everybody understands what's going on with this veteran. And we can also then connect them with other local resources, which there's a great many of them, especially up here in northern West Virginia. There's a great many of them. You know, I'm very proud of the work that our people do.
As you should be.
Very proud. And we have like I say, very highly specially trained volunteers, and we just had a new one come on board up here, so we're anxious for him to get started too.
Great. There's not a whole lot of a demographic that you don't help, because again, trauma knows no bounds, and
Nope.
Unfortunately, your services are needed. But fortunately, you have a great organization that's able to help run them.
And from a health and safety standpoint, we have training services, CPR training, first aid training. You can become an instructor of those types of training, you know, aquatics training. There's just also many different trainings that you take through Red Cross to be certified. Sometimes your job requires you to be certified in certain things, and we may offer that type of very specific health and safety training. So if it's something you're looking for in that regard, check us out again online at redcross.org, and make sure then that we can cover you then for that type of training.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing even more information with us and with folks at home about American Red Cross. And you guys do amazing work, and we are lucky to have you in the role that you are in.
I appreciate your patience during my allergy attack, but it's just a season for
Yes,
it. So
absolutely.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other.
Thank you for everything United Way does, and thank you to the United Way donors. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be able to provide the services with as great an impact as we are able in this area. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. See, I gave you plugs. You give us plugs. It's a great relationship.
It is.
Well, thanks again for joining us, Sharon. I am Jessica Rine. I am very honored to be the host of Your Town and carrying on the legacy of our dear friend Steve Major into the future, and we will hold him in our hearts for every episode we shoot moving forward. If you're interested in being on the show, please reach out. My email address is jrine@unitedwayuob.org, and I hope that you have a great week.